Welcome to the rustedgarden.com. This video is all about vertical gardening. These are towers that I use from greenstalkgarden.com. If you're interested in picking them up, check out the video description. Get a lot of questions on how do I amend the soil for my vertical towers. Do I have to throw it away and put in new soil? No, you don't have to do that. So I'm going to show you how I set this up with worm castings, which I like using in containers, organic fertilizer, and we're going to add in some more peat moss. But we're in the middle, not in the middle, but we're going into the second week of September. The warm weather crops are going to be harvested, what's left, pulled out, and these are all going to be transitioned over to cool weather crops. I'll show you how I do that too. So first thing that we're going to do is really disassemble the towers. They stack nicely together. Pull out the plants I don't want, harvest what needs to be harvested, and then there's some cool weather crops in there, different herbs. I can see some Swiss chard, even beet greens. They're going to stay or get divided up. And then we're going to amend the soil and then plant in the new cool weather crops. Okay, let me take these apart, show you that process. So this is the 5-tier tower broken down, and I basically pulled out the plants that I don't want. I've dropped in the granular fertilizer already on this side. We're also going to water it in with the fish emulsion, get that water soluble fertilizer in there. 5 tiers, comes apart real easily. Just stack it in a row like that. And this is my second year growing in these containers. You can amend your vertical tower like this every year. So we're going to do it now for fall, and this is going to be already amended for next year. So you don't have to do it every time you switch the plants over when the seasons change, just once a year. There's going to be lots of roots in here. That's perfectly fine. When I originally set this up, I recommend using either a potting mix. It's a little more expensive that way, but you can buy the bag potting mixes. I make mine. It's 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 leaf grow or compost, and 1/3 earth. You really want a lot of organic matter in there. Leaf grow, compost, peat moss, you want water to be held in these containers. So it's really, really important to use the potting mix, use lots of peat moss or coco coir. So the quick amending, it's pretty straightforward. Any organic granular fertilizer, I take 1 handful, 2 handfuls, and sprinkle it around. That's going to be the granular organic. That's a slow release. I like using worm castings in here for all the benefits that it brings. I am affiliated with Terra. I highly recommend them because pound for pound you're getting worm castings. You're not getting compost, you're actually getting the castings. That's 1 handful, and then a second handful. And this is going to give your containers everything that they need to support your plants. And then I just go through and break up any of the roots all the way down to the bottom. Just loosen it up. And because you're using a potting mix or you've made your own with leaf grow and peat moss, it's really, really loose. You're just breaking up all the roots. They will break down. They'll hold moisture, they'll give back to the plants over time. And that's basically all you really do. So I'm going to go through here, do all of that, and then I'm going to water it in with the water soluble fertilizer because it's easy to treat everything when they're open like this. Reassemble it, and then we'll plant. Alright, so the organic fertilizer and the worm castings are all mixed in. And if for some reason this was shallow, you could add in some more peat moss, which I recommend. Just bring in the peat moss, it's going to hold moisture. But it ends up being nice and loose, and it's going to be perfect for planting. So next thing I want to do is actually I would move this to where it's going to go, because when you water it in, it's going to be a little bit heavier. But I just wanted to show you fish emulsion and just how much you want to soak it in when you're re-prepping it all. And that just puts a nice amount of nitrogen through there, especially for the leafy greens. And what I would do is I would just take this to where it goes. It's got 6 pockets for growing. We'll be putting in the leafy greens at the end and other plants. And you just drop that in place, and then you take the other one, you put it right on top of there, you build your tower. Now if you have plants that are growing in there, that is Swiss chard and beets. When you're loosening up the soil, just stay away, like maybe that distance from that pocket. You're going to disturb some of the roots, but that's okay. Loosen up everything else. So this really only took 30 minutes, and that includes shooting the video footage to refresh the soil and get it ready for the cool weather crops, mostly greens. Going to clean out that tower that has a lot of herbs in there, and you can see, even though, I mean, I haven't been watering it because I'm letting the peppers die out and stuff, basically neglecting it. We're going to pull out the peppers. They did really well. Hot peppers are in there. The herbs look pretty good, a little beat up. May split some of them, but we're going to get this container set up too with cool weather crops. So we'll get to planting, but this was a lettuce plant that reseeded, and I pulled out the roots and I kept it. You just dig a hole, drop it in, and press it around, and you'll get a full head of loose leaf lettuce that way. We could also put in the seeds. I'm not going to do seeds today because I have transplants, but you just make a little hole, drop in a couple seeds, covered over. It's pretty straightforward. My sun tracks this way and out there, so all parts of the tower get sunlight. I can also spin it on here. I really like these towers because of how they're made. Great depth for growing. I grow tomatoes, peppers in here, and it's UV resistant plastic. So this tower right over there has been in the sun, in the winter sun too. I don't cover it up, I don't take it away, and it's not cracking or fading, and that's what you want. You know, spend the extra money, get a plastic that's not going to degrade because of the UV rays, and you're going to be saving yourself a lot of money in the long run. All right, so let me clean up the other tower and we'll get to planting. So this is the second tower, disassembled, fertilized, and all that. For the herbs, this is the top of the second tower. The tower was right over there on that right side. Going to be cleaning up this whole space too. Found a snake crawling around in there, which was cool. It was a good snake, so I left it alone. Not going to worry about it. These herbs have been growing in here for at least 3 years. So I'm going to just cut them back by half. Probably leave the lavender like that, but just shape them a little bit and then reassemble the tower. The herbs have been cut back by 1/2. Since we're going into the winter, they're not going to really produce a whole lot. So you cut them back, get them ready to kind of hibernate, and when they come back next year, they'll be bushier and they'll be stronger. All right, so let's assemble these and get to planting the cool weather crops. So with 30 pockets in there, I'm going to have a lot of room for the leafy greens. And I like growing them as transplants. I put seeds in here at times, but if I have a large garden, well, which I do, it's a lot easier for me to grow a flat of 72 like that and take care of it than it is to put seeds into all the pockets and manage each pocket. So I like the transplants. That's more lettuce and mustard greens, and when they're about 1 inch taller, they will go into the other spaces. But I just wanted to show you some basic principles. Up top, the shorter plants, the leafy greens, the lettuces are going to go there. If I had some spinach, spinach would go in there. As I come down towards the bottom, this is a form of Swiss chard. That's going to go in there. That'll get a little bit bigger. And down at the bottom, I'm going to have white Russian, red Russian kale, and some collards. Now, I'm not going to let these get as big as they normally do. I'll be harvesting them more for baby and medium greens. But this tower will keep giving you enough greens for the next 60, 90 days, depending on how long it is till your next heavy frost. Really heavy frost, because lettuces and greens can take a light frost. And you'll have your cool weather crops for the fall. And again, this is a great way to set up your containers or your towers too. It's the same principle in refreshing the soil. And this is good now for an entire year. We'll grow all next year in it. They will get a supplemental water-soluble fertilizer just on a regular schedule. And I just want to show you the basic setup. I mean, that's already loose. So I just get in with my hand, dig a nice hole, get my transplant, drop it in, and pull the soil around it. And that's all you really have to do. If you needed to drop in more soil, sometimes I take it from another pocket, or I just have a bucket next to me of some peat moss and drop it in there. Once these are all in, I'll show you them planted up. I'd water it in again, just make sure there's enough moisture in there to get it started. And it's good to go, and I'm going to clean up the Swiss chard. So everything is planted, fed, watered in with a hose. Really make sure you get the moisture through here. That will be great for the fall. With the cool temperatures, you're not going to have to water as much. Lots of lettuce, again, put your kales down at the bottom. And another tip is there's 6 pockets, so you really get 30 pockets of growing pleasure in here for whatever you want to grow. But don't put 6 kale plants down at the bottom. The root systems will overtake it. They'll grow, but you really don't need that much kale. I mean, 3 kale there, 2 over on that side, that's plenty. Please subscribe. I'll be doing more on vertical gardening. We're going to plant these up with radishes, spinach, arugula, other root crops. We'll do some by seed, you know, but when you have the opportunity to grow transplants, makes it a little bit easier. Thanks so much for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. And I also have a book that will come out February 2021 called The Modern Homestead Garden, if you want to check that out. Thanks for watching.